After traveling the world, I landed in Moldova. The stories here blow my mind. I invited my friends to discover Moldova with me. We are journalists and explorers. Join us in this adventure. Many Moldovans paid a high price for their freedom when the Russian tanks rolled in the 90s. 30 years later, some villages are still stuck in between. They are closed off by the river on one side and by the Russian-influenced stateless territory on the other. This Moldovan tradition, when the villagers come together to sing and work, is called claca.
Așa e moldovanul. Când mai cântă, când mai bea un pahar de vin, vorbește, glumim și așa mai departe, primim oaspeți într-un cuvânt.
The grapes are ready to be picked all over the country. But grapes grown in this land are particularly sour for the so-called Transnistrian authorities. These neighboring villages, Molovata Noua and Cocier, played a central role in the fight for independence in the early 90s. For tourists, these two villages are well hidden. They are nested on the east side of the Dniester River. Here lies the border separating Moldova from the Russian-influenced, unrecognized territory of Transnistria. You can reach these Moldovan villages by ferry. It's free and runs 6 times a day. There is also a bridge to the villages, but crossing it means even more checks.
Locuim pe o insulă. Asta e o insulă. Noi câte granițe trecem până ajungem? Noi pe ce ați venit, da? Nu pe la Dubasare ați venit? Cu vaporul. Aha. Ați venit cu vaporul. Da, noi ca să trecem să ne ducem la Chișinău, avem aici la, cum zic, la tamoșnie, cum... La vamă.
La vamă noi avem
ne dă voi.
Certificat.
Și ne dă voi și trecem. Dar trecem din sat poliția moldovnească, miliția rusească, MS-ul trecem, și trecem Pridnistrovia. Mergem toată Pridnistrovia și trecem iară la vamă. La vamă trecem miliția, vama și poliția moldovnească, ca să ajungem la Chișinău.
Transportarea de marfă prin vamă, prin Dubăsarne este interzisă și trebuie să mergem doar cu feribotul. Nu toate întreprinderile acceptă să vină în regiunea noastră, că iarăși au reținere din cauza feribotului, că merge la orar. Din punct de vedere a trecerea clienților, deseori avem dificultate pentru că dacă și-a uitat buletinul și feribotul nu mai merge după orele 8, atunci pentru el este dificil să vină și nu poate să meargă și noi am pierdut clientul respectiv. Adică pentru afacere este o altă lume și este o dificultate. Simțim.
This year, the hotel received more requests than it could fulfill. Maybe it's the nature that attracts people here. Or maybe it's the uniqueness of the place. People enjoyed boat rides and dipped in the Dniester River. There are hiking trails, pine forests, and beautiful viewpoints. Today, the Cocier village is gathering to celebrate their village day together. And suddenly, it's like any other Moldovan village. where the celebration is important. They sing and dance their folk songs. But only until the guests have to rush to the last ferry. A few kilometers away, in a stateless place, Transnistria, they pay with rubles, mostly speak Russian, and even have to write their Romanic language in Cyrillic. The Transnistrian territory was taken by force from Moldova in the early 90s with the help of the Russian military. The fight for this strip of land was bloody. Hundreds died and many more were injured.
Și o lua jumătate de casă noaptea. Firestre, căldurașul, tot, fără sticlă, fără nic. Și ne-a sculat. Și erau să facem, ploua.
For a peaceful living, the villagers skip some topics. In the end, they only want peace. Some watch Russian propaganda channels, and others follow Moldovan news. Some support the existence of the so-called Transnistria. Others lost their friends who fought against it. As a visitor, you can wonder why they still keep living here and accept the checkpoints. As a villager, you know better. You know that as long as you don't speak about politics, you can coexist peacefully. So they speak about the soil, the grapes, village work, and families. Moldovan Vladimir Keptene even moved back from the States to Moldova and bought a vineyard on the hillsides of Molovata Noua. He says it's the most enchanting village in Moldova.
Here they say like the Dniester River, it's the border between like the east and the west, between like European Empire and the Russian Empire. And but here it's a exception. Both sides of the river, it's still Moldova. Because I think in '92 they fought for it, and they wanted to keep it as a part of Moldova. So they did it. They sacrificed their lives because it's a special place. They didn't want to give it up. From what I know, here was the most intense fight. Here, the Dniestru is the widest part of the Dniestru River. It's about a mile wide, and it surrounds the whole village. It's surrounded 270 degrees by water. So here you don't have to water my vineyards. I never water them. They get watered by the mist. Every morning there is mist, and it's like a magical place, I think. And here, as any village in Moldova, people like to have visitors. Doesn't matter from where, you're from Chisinau, from Dubasar, from US.
Beautiful places with particular history have always driven people. That's why more and more tourists find a way to this hidden betweenland. They then will learn a lesson about how power struggles only complicate lives. The secret of visiting remote places is that you, as a tourist, make them seen simply by being there. In return, the locals open their homes for you. They offer you homemade wine and pastry. They are kind because you cared and you showed up.